This presentation outlines Club Royale's obligations and provides recommendations to the board on how to ensure the club meets their obligations under the AML-CTF Act. Our presenters today are Harry Prasad, Amanda, Sarah, Aaron, and Maria. A number of factors play into Club Royale's risk of becoming a venue for criminal activity. Club Royale is located on the Gold Coast, a hotspot for organised crime with strong links to drug trafficking, outlaw motorcycle gangs, and cash-intensive money laundering activities. The club has extended training hours from 6 a.m. till 3 a.m, hosts a large gaming floor with 150 electronic gaming machines, bar facilities, and live entertainment attracting a diverse clientele. Recently, the club has noticed increased high-value cash activity without the associated gameplay, putting the club at increased risk for money laundering and terrorism financing activities. The club currently has a basic AML-CTF program in place. We'll explore the following areas for Club Royale: AUSTRAC and AML-CTF Act compliance and obligations, money laundering and terrorism financing risk assessments, crime script analysis and critical prevention points, suspicious activity indicators and best practice, and ongoing compliance, governance and staff training. I'll now hand over to Harry Prasad, who will take us through identifying key obligations for Club Royale.
Thanks, Sarah. This is Hari Prasad. In this section, I will cover the regulation for gaming venues. Australia enacted the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act 2006 to combat financial crime by implementing international standards from the Financial Action Task Force. The Act's primary goals are to deter, detect, and disrupt money laundering and terrorism financing, provide financial intelligence to law enforcement and revenue agencies, and strengthen the security and competitiveness of Australia's financial markets. Criminals target businesses that do not safeguard against money laundering and misuse gaming machines to clean illicit funds. The Act provides guidelines and recommendations for gaming venues. Under the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act of 2006, designated services in the context of gaming venues include a range of gambling-related activities conducted in the course of business, such as entry into games of chance, accepting or placing bets, and facilitating gaming machine play. They also cover the exchange of money for gaming tokens or chips, currency exchange, paying out winnings, and managing accounts linked to these services. A reporting entity must not begin providing a designated service to a customer unless the customer identification procedure has already been completed. If it begins providing a designated service under special circumstances that justify delaying customer identification, it must complete the identification within the time frame set by AML-CTF rules or within 5 business days. Otherwise, it must cease providing services until the procedure is completed. It may delegate customer identification procedures to authorized agents, including those providing designated services on their behalf. It must continuously monitor customers receiving designated services to identify, mitigate, and manage risks of money laundering or terrorism financing. In line with AML-CTF rules, it is required to notify the AUSTRAC CEO of threshold transactions, international funds transfers, and certain cross-border movements of currency or bearer negotiable instruments. Electronic fund transfers must include originator details. It must submit a suspicious matter report to AUSTRAC when it suspects on reasonable grounds that a customer or their agent may be involved in identity fraud, tax evasion, money laundering, or terrorism financing in connection with a designated service. If terrorism financing is suspected, the report must be lodged within 24 hours. In all other cases, the report must be submitted within 3 business days. It must retain records of designated services, documents provided by or on behalf of customers, and customer identification procedures for 7 years. This includes transaction records, copies, or extracts containing key information. It is an offense to falsify information or documents, use forged or anonymous identities, or structure transactions to evade reporting obligations under the AML/CTF Act. An authorized officer may enter a reporting entity's premises with consent or a warrant to exercise monitoring powers. The OSTRAC CEO can require the entity to conduct an external audit or a risk assessment related to money laundering and terrorism financing. If he or she determines that it has not conducted the assessment or that the assessment is outdated or inadequate, he or she may issue a written notice requiring a new assessment and report. The reporting entity must complete the assessment, document findings, and submit the report within the specified time frame. Failure to comply with this requirement constitutes an offense punishable by up to 6 months imprisonment or 30 penalty units. The risk assessment must evaluate the likelihood that the entity's designated services could facilitate money laundering or terrorism financing and outline measures to identify, mitigate, and manage those risks. Civil penalty provisions under the AML/CTF framework can attract pecuniary penalties, and authorized officers may issue infringement notices for unreported cross-border movements of currency or bearer instruments. The OSTRAC CEO oversees compliance, may issue remedial directions, accept enforceable undertakings, and seek federal court injunctions for breaches.
I'll now take you through the money laundering and terrorism financing risks we identified at the club. I'll unpack these risks, apply a risk-based approach, step through realistic scenarios, and outline a prioritized action plan for the board. During our visit, we saw individuals with known drug links on the gaming floor. A reminder that while most of your patrons seek entertainment, some bring greater risk. With gaming machines, long trading hours, and a diverse customer base, the club reflects the conditions AUSTRAC highlights as vulnerable. This environment appeals to criminals, with illicit funds flowing through almost unnoticed. We saw multiple patrons pool in cash, but the payout went to one name. This conceals the true source of the funds and blurs who really benefits. When one patron walks away with the winnings of many, the venue isn't just paying out, it's helping hide that money. We saw patrons misusing gaming facilities, with check payouts after minimal play, deposits just under $10,000, and buying winning vouchers from others. These aren't signs of gaming. They show the venue is used as a financial service to disguise illicit funds. When machines are played this way, the odds are stacked against compliance. Before we look at the risk meter, let's explain the risk-based approach. AUSTRAC requires venues to tailor controls to actual risks, not treat all customers the same. In practice, that means focusing resources where risks are highest, while still monitoring your lower risk patrons. It's not about rolling the dice equally, it's about weighting the odds where the risk lies. Club Royale's risk meter has low risk, loyal locals with small, consistent play. Moderate risk, regular cash players spending $2,000 to $3,000 in steady patterns. Medium risk, tourists with $5,000 plus cash and minimal ID. Substantial risk is structuring with repeated $9,900 deposits. High risk are your patrons who are tied to drugs or organised crime, pushing third-party payouts or refusing ID. Right now, the club sits between substantial and high risk. Action needs to be taken now. Our action plan is structured into high, medium, and low priorities. High priority is immediate. Implement a full AML/CTF program, appoint a compliance officer, apply enhanced due diligence, and file SMRs on time. Without these, the club risks the same failures that have been penalised elsewhere by AUSTRAC. Medium priority is next year. Train staff to spot structuring and third-party payouts, use centralized payout registers, and commission an independent AML/CTF review. These give you, the board, confidence compliance is working. Low priority is future proofing. Invest in digital monitoring tools, expand loyalty card programs, engage proactively with AUSTRAC. Put simply, high protects today, medium builds resilience tomorrow, and low shows leadership for the future.
Thank you, Amanda. This is Sarah. I'll now be taking you through a crime script analysis to break down how money laundering can typically occur in your gaming venue. This method allows us to see each stage of the process clearly: how offenders prepare, carry out their activities, and attempt to cash out. As we move through the crime script, I'll point out the control gaps and weaknesses that may exist within your venue, which can be exploited by criminals and also organised crime groups. Just as importantly, I'll also highlight the key prevention points, which are those critical opportunities where stronger systems, better training, and more effective monitoring can disrupt this behaviour. The preparation stage is where offenders set the scene and pick which venues to exploit. Organised crime groups often use legitimate-looking front businesses like tobacconists, barbers, or small offices as their training hubs for recruited money mules. Those mules then scope out pubs and clubs, searching for weak points, for example, poor ID checks, untrained staff, CCTV blind spots, or busy shifts where unusual behaviour can blend in more easily. The cast includes organised criminals, individual offenders, and recruited mules, sometimes even desperate patrons or gambling addicts. On the other side, we have your staff. This is your bar attendants, gaming floor staff, or even your management. Importantly, most staff aren't complicit. They simply lack the training to spot exploitation. These conditions make Club Royale extremely attractive, with your high cash turnover, machine payouts that convert cash into winnings, and weak verification or monitoring processes. If your controls are not strengthened, offenders will continue to exploit them. The final step of the crime stage is cashing out, often through cash at the cashier, checks in their own or other person's name, or even electronic funds transfers. Without the proper checks in place, these do look like normal winnings. That is why ID verification and transaction monitoring at payout are critical. In practice, focus on these 4 actions. Enforce ID checks for high-value redemptions, train staff to recognise unusual patterns, maintain effective monitoring and your CCTV, and always escalate suspicious behaviour via suspicious matter reports. The final stage is the post-crime stage. So what happens once the money has left the gaming floor? At this point, the money moves beyond Club Royale. Criminals may spread the cash among money mules, use couriers to deposit cash through ATMs, or if funds were paid out electronically, this enables criminals to transfer the money offshore almost instantly. Others may spend it on high-value items like cars or jewellery, or move it back into circulation through their front businesses. It's important to remember that your responsibility doesn't end at the payout counter. Strong processes, effective controls, and a robust AML/CTF program are all essential to disrupting these activities. Under the AML/CTF Act, your obligations are clear. Verify your customers, train staff to spot red flags, monitor for suspicious patterns like short play or voucher trading, and lodge suspicious matter reports with AUSTRAC. Doing this not only helps you be compliant and avoids penalties, but more importantly, it protects your venue from being exploited by organised crime. Thank you. I'll now hand over to Aaron, who will take you through the red flag indicators and share best practice recommendations.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Arun, and I will be guiding you through the next section, which focuses on identifying suspicious activity indicators and sharing best practice recommendations to help prevent money laundering and support AML compliance. Let's start by identifying the red flags that staff at venues like Club Royale should be trained to spot. These indicators are drawn from OSTRAC guidance and internal AML-CTF procedures. Some of the indicators are listed as below. The first in the list is cash-related red flag indicator. In this, we look for patterns like large cash deposit with little gameplay, structured transactions just under $10,000, and rapid cash outs. Second is related to the gaming behavior, which is also a key indicator. It includes activities like short play sessions, voucher trading, and inconsistent activities, which can all signal laundering attempts. Third one is related to customer profile mismatches, where customer is reluctant to provide IDs, source of funds, source of wealth, and also have been previously reported in SMRs. And don't forget, external risk factors like high risk location, poor CCTV, and staff turnover can be all exploited by the criminals. This slide outlines best practice controls to address the red flags we just discussed. For KYC, we need to verify ID for high value payouts, validate source of funds and wealth, and apply tiered risk profiling. Dormant or high risk customers should be re-verified regularly. Transaction monitoring should flag structured deposit, short play with high cash input, and third party redemptions. Real time alerts and centralized payout registers are essential. Enhanced due diligence kicks in for PAPs, sanctioned entities, or suspicious behavior. It involves transactional analysis, negative news screening, and senior management escalations. These controls are not just regulatory, they are strategic tools to disrupt criminal activity. Let's now focus on one of the most critical responsibilities we have under the AML CTF framework, which is reporting suspicious activity through suspicious matter reports or SMR. An SMR must be submitted to OSTRAC when we form a suspicion on reasonable grounds. This could be because a person isn't who they claim to be, or their activity may be linked to money laundering, terrorism financing, or other offenses under the Commonwealth, state, or territorial law. SMRs are typically submitted by AML CTF compliance officer, transaction monitoring analyst, or trained venue staff who escalate red flags. The report must include a clear summary of suspicious matter, transaction details, parties involved, and the rationale for suspicion. It must be factual, concise, and aligned across all SMR sections. Also, get this reviewed for any missing information and avoid any assumptions. Let's connect our control to the crime script stages. In the preparation stage, criminals scope out venues with weak controls. Strong KYC blocks anonymous entry and forces transparency. During execution, they insert structured cash and engage in minimal gameplay. Transaction monitoring helps us detect and escalate these patterns. In the cash out stage, they try to redeem funds via cash, check, or EFT. Enhanced due diligence and payout verification ensure these are legitimate. By mapping our controls to each stage, we can proactively disrupt the laundering process, not just react to it. Every SMR we submit is a chance to protect our venue, our customers, and the broader financial systems. By linking our reporting obligations to crime script prevention, we move from reactive to proactive compliance.
Hello, I'm Maria. Today I'll be speaking to Club Royale's leadership about strengthening the club's AML CTF approach, specifically through governance, compliance, and staff training that go beyond the basics. Since visiting the venue, it's clear the framework is in place, but gaps remain, and the systems aren't keeping pace with evolving risks. AML CTF compliance isn't a one-time setup. It must be part of daily operations through regular reviews, smarter transaction monitoring, and training that's not just informative, but relevant and engaging. This isn't just about ticking OSTRAC's boxes. Done right, compliance can enhance customer insights, improve service, and even drive loyalty. For example, linking transaction data with loyalty profiles can flag suspicious behavior and personalized service. So today I'll show how Club Royale can take ownership by empowering its compliance team, listening to frontline staff, and building a training culture that protects the business and supports performance. Let's dive in. So up first, ongoing obligations. Club Royale needs to review its AML CTF program every 3 years minimum. But if red flags start popping up, like high cash deposits with barely any gameplay, waiting isn't an option. Risk assessments should be regular and sharp, especially in a venue where faces blur and cash moves fast. And transaction monitoring? That's the club's sixth sense. If someone keeps dropping 9,900 in cash and barely plays, that's not generosity, it's geometry. These patterns need to be flagged, escalated, and documented. And behind the scenes, you need to ensure the right people are in the right roles through employee due diligence checks that go beyond the resume. You run enhanced checks annually for sensitive positions and ad hoc checks when something shifts, a sudden change in behaviour, a flagged transaction, or a role change that increases access. These aren't routine, they're targeted, reactive, and built to prevent internal risks before it escalates. Now let's talk training. Staff aren't just pouring drinks or watching machines. They're the club's frontline intelligence. Training should happen annually with refreshers triggered by suspicious activity or role changes. But here's the catch. If it's boring, it's forgotten. That's why delivery matters. You mix e-learning for the basics, live workshops for real-time learning, and simulations using actual Club Royale scenarios. Tailoring is key. Bar staff need to spot shady behaviour, managers need to know when to escalate, and compliance officers need to stay ahead of the curve. And the board? They support the compliance officer. And you don't stop at knowledge, you build confidence. Because when staff understand why compliance matters, that what they do is important, they will act with purpose. Training is about making it stick and protecting the business integrity. Finally, governance. The board can't just nod at policy, they need to own it. When cash volumes spike and gameplay drops, that's not a footnote, it's a boardroom headline. Record keeping is non-negotiable. ID records, transaction logs, trading docs all need to be stored securely for 7 years. And directors, they set the tone. If they treat compliance like a priority, staff will too. And access controls, they're designed to eliminate collusion. Segregation of duties, multi-factor approvals, and audit trails ensure that no one has unchecked access to sensitive systems or cash. Because in the end, it's not just about spotting suspicious behaviour, it's about creating a culture where integrity isn't optional, it's instinctive, and where governance isn't passive, it's active. So to wrap it up, compliance isn't just a policy, it's a mindset. From the bar to the boardroom, every role matters. When vigilance becomes instinct, Club Royale doesn't just meet its obligations, it will lead by example.
To conclude, by understanding your legal obligations, assessing your risks, analysing crime scripts, recognising suspicious activities, and maintaining robust governance and training, Club Royale can strengthen its AML CTF compliance effectively and mitigate financial crime risks. The board will find a comprehensive review of these insights and highlighted elements in our report. We thank you for your time and wish you well.